My phone died. I want to give all praise to you, to the Israelite foreigners who look like the other nations with their spirit earlier. Doing this thing, of course. Of course, these scoffers and these devils, they're mad. They're mad. He was clearly an Edomite. He was probably that 12-year-old, some 12-year-old kid, the same one that calls you the N-word on Xbox. He's probably the same one. Very immature. Very immature. I was about to bring out Psalm 83, verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, talking about the enemies of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, who are the enemies of our people. Hey, but since this little dumbass is gone, I'm gonna bring out, I'm gonna get back on topic. And earlier I showed a video of who in my opinion who probably is a confused face or really an Israelite foreigner, and he rapping about the same shit that original looking Jake rap about. He got flow. You could see he got flow. So same shit, different. Hey man, like that brother Ravenous will say the same shit, different air refreshener. Basically just another version. Same nigga shit basically. And some of what Jake does is, one thing Jake does is he will basically take a byword that is put on him and will wear it like a badge. Basically. And that's a byword, that so-called white trash shit. That's a byword, it comes with proverbs, that's a proverb and byword. White trash, dope dealing comic. It's a proverb. He was made a proverb and a byword. Just like it's the same shit that they say about our original looking Jake or Northern Kingdom. We're dope dealing convicts and shit. The same type of shit, man. And that's just I'm about to get it. That's just Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither Yahweh Shem Yahushai shall lead thee. That just shows. That shows right there, man. And then Jake, of course, they got flavor. Jake like to flex, so Jake is gonna actually take that byword and make it into a flex. That's what Judah did. Took a byword, actually switched it up, and made it into a flex. And those proverbs that was said about him made it into a flex. Ishkar does the same. Northern tribes do the same. Gad does the same. And then the Israelite foreigners, they do the same. We are lively people, lively stones. Let me look that up. Lively stones. Let me get the salt of the earth. Let me get that. salt of the earth. He said, Yahweh called us the salt of the earth for a reason. We got that flavor. Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 to 20. Ye are the salt of the earth. I'm gonna just get that one because that proves the point. And 14 as well. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its flavor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and to be trodden underfoot of men. Jake is the salt of the earth, but the elect, they got the most flavor, you could say. They got the most flavor. They stand out among all the Israelites. Verse 14, ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. That's why, wherever Jake is scattered, however they look like, they always, they basically, they shine. They the stars. But especially and specifically talking about the men of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Because, this world full of darkness, even the 2/3 of our people, they're in gross darkness. So we are the light, so specifically talking about us, Slakia. Yeah, specifically talking about us, the light of the world, and the salt of the earth, but also Jake in general. Lively stones as well. And that's, let me get that. I had my time wasted by a scoffer, man. I was talking about a scoffer and one came up. You speak of the devil. He was a devil too. You speak of the devil and, guess what happens? He was an Edomite, of course. Mad. Oh, of course, calling us thugs. That's another byword that was put on our people. Thanks for proving my point, Esau. That's another byword against our people. Thugs basically means jakes in the eyes of these heathens and devils, even though they are the real thugs. 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 5 to 9. Wait, let me just get to hold up. 1 Peter. I was on 2 Peter. That'd be happening a lot, but it's alright. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 5. Ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house, an holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Yahweh by Yahushai HaMashiach. So we are as lively stones. So, hey, Jake takes those bywords and they make something out of it. They make it a flex. Hey, Jake is original looking Jakes. They made being in the hood cool. They made a, hey, Northern Kingdom made being in the barrio cool. Our people make being oppressed cool, basically. That's Jake. It's our nature. And that's also it's also That's also why in Jeremiah, it's a scripture that in Jeremiah that talks about why is Jacob a homeborn slave? When I look up is Jacob, one of the questions that come up says, is Jacob black alive? That's the spirit, because Jacob, is Jacob black alive after shooting? That's the spirit, because our people are, yeah, because original looking Jake is so-called black. That's what I was trying to say. They know it. That's why, Jacob Blake, that Jake that got shot in the back 8 times, his name was Jacob Blake. But let me pull up Jeremiah 2 verse 14. And that was a shooting that got you Jakes riled up, because that's what it took. Now the Breonna Taylor, the devils that shot Breonna Taylor, getting away with murder. That's really getting y'all going, because y'all have nothing else to think about. The mirth of the land is gone. Whatever mirth there is, it's trash. The daughters of music are brought low. So this is all you have to think about. For so long it's been like this. Though, is Israel a servant? Jeremiah, I'm on verse 14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Why is he spoiled? Verse 15. The young lions roared upon him and yelled, and they made his land waste. His cities are burned without inhabitant. Verse 16. Also the children of Noph and Taphanes have broken the crown of thy head. Verse 17. Hast thou not procured this unto thyself, and that thou hast forsaken the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai thy power, when he led thee by the way? Verse 18. And now what hast thou do in the way of Egypt, to drink the waters of the river? Verse 13 says, for my people have committed 2 evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. 2 evils. Forsaking Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and the fountain of living water, and instead following the ways of these heathen nations. And that's why these Edomites and these other heathens, that's why they're shooting you dead in the streets. That's why they're breaking into your houses and shooting you, and using no-knock raids, and then letting their own people off the hook. It's exactly why. It's exactly why. That's your own wickedness correcting you. Verse 19. Thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backslidings shall reprove thee. Know therefore and see that it is an evil thing and bitter that thou hast forsaken Yahweh Hashem Yahushai thy power, and that my fear is not in thee, saith the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Lord power of hosts. So an evil thing and bitter, and America goes into being bitter. America goes back to the Hebrew word for bitter. Verse 20, for of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands, and thou saidst, I will not transgress. I will not transgress. Hold up. I will not transgress when upon every high hill and on every green tree thou wanderest playing the harlot. Our people have gone to all these philosophies trying to, they've gone into all these, our people are into every philosophy, every religion out there, and they're into it with zeal, because they have the zeal of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, but not according to knowledge. That's another one. Verse 22, verse 21, yet I have planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? Verse 22, for though thou wash thee with nitre, and take thee much soap, yet thy iniquity is marked before me, saith the Lord power, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That's why this shit is happening to y'all. These devils are shooting y'all down and declaring themselves not guilty. Verse 23, how canst thou say, I am not polluted? I have not gone after Baalim. See thy way in the valley. Know what thou hast done. Thou art a swift dromedary traversing her ways. Verse 24, a wild ass used to the wilderness that snuffeth up the wind at her pleasure, and her occasion who can turn her away. All that see her will not weary themselves, in her month they shall find her. Verse 25, withhold thy foot from being unshod, and thy throat from thirst. But thou said, there is no hope. No, for I have loved strangers, and after them will I go. They're like, hey, we're already fucked. Jake is like that, already in this condition, basically. Jake is already basically like, hey, and they'll say shit like that, and they'll say shit like, our life is short, might as well do shit like this. Might as well, are we in this position, nobody can help us, and they don't believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushai either, so they continue to go after strangers, to depend on them for help. And so far, look at the results. It hasn't worked for us. Verse 26, as the thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Israel ashamed, they, their kings, their princes, and their priests, and their prophets. Verse 27, saying to a stock, thou art my father, and to a stone thou hast brought me forth, for they have turned their back unto me, and not their face, but in the time of their trouble they will say, arise and save us. And that's what Jake does. When Jake is in deep shit, he that's when he calls upon Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And that's when you want to get right. When a nigga's in deep shit, that's when you want to get right. That's how you know who the people of Yahweh Shem Yahushai are too. The Israelites. That's how you know. Hey, and it says, saying to a stock, thou art my father, and to a stone thou hast brought me forth. The people must derive a message, a lesson, a lesson a message, and the message that I assume, like, you're a so-called Latino, right? That a message that our people, the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and the Israelite foreigners, because the blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are the true Israelites of the Bible. But the message that, which is why we're catching all this hell, that's Deuteronomy 28 curses right there. But the message that our people need to get is that they need to come back to the Most High. They need the Father, whose name is Yahweh, and his Son's name is Yahweh Shai. How you say you're ready to die? Well, you need to be ready to die for this truth. This truth. Like, not no carnal shit, not taking up arms against this man, because this man, the so-called white man, he that's Esau, Edom, and his blessing is the sword, and your blessing is your strength. Let me get that. Genesis chapter 27. The blessing of Esau. Genesis 27, verse 32. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am Esau, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. Verse 33. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, Where is he that had taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yet and he shall be blessed. Verse 34. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. Verse 35. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety and have taken away thy blessing. Wait, let me just get to the point. Verse 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. Hold on, I've already seen the light. Verse 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So Esau's blessing is the sword, and his blessing was handed down to his children. So that's why you see the so-called white man. That's why you see him. You see he clings to his guns. That's why. That's why the United States and Europe, that's why their strength is a sword. They have the largest military. The United States has the largest military, in the world, basically. And it's been that way for a while. And then Russia also has a pretty strong military, and they're so-called white people as well. And the NATO countries. And that is how the so-called white man took America, through the sword. Through the sword, the fatness of the earth, the areas with the most resources. That's how they took it. So that's the strength of the so-called white man. You can't. So it's like, it's what he's good at. So it's like, if you're right-handed, but you wrestle someone that's left-handed with your left hand, who's gonna win? And that's why the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Let me get that. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahweh, the real name of God, to the pulling down of strongholds. He put us on. Let me address that point. No, he put the so-called white man. He gave him. He put him over our people. So as a punishment for going off. But no, hey, man, let me read something for you because we're not gonna, what you said, it's not true, man. 2 Ezra chapter 6 verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau, so so you hear that end of the world is being talked about, right? No, it's the end of his world, because Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So, yeah, there's gonna be a time of great trouble that's coming. There's gonna be a time of great trouble. That's prophesied. It's also called Jacob's trouble. Let me get that. Jacob's trouble. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. So you have to remember that our people have been going off. They've been wicked. They've been breaking the laws of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Which Yahushai, that's the name of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And Bahashem simply means in the name in the Hebrew. Yeah, Jeremiah 30 verse 7. Verse 6. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. They were sick of what they saw, basically. Verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but get this, but he shall be saved out of it. And who is that he? Let me go to Isaiah 59 verse 19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. The spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai shall lift up a standard against him. So when the enemy comes in like a flood, am I afraid to die? Well, death, that's like, that's sleep. That's just like sleep. The Bible actually compares death to sleep. Verse 20, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression, that's key, and Jacob said, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Them that turn from transgression, which means you gotta get right, you gotta repent. Gotta start following the laws, statutes, and commandments. You say you're gonna die anyways. Well, let me tell you. Actually, let me explain that to you. Because those that die in Hamashiach, those that die in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, they get that crown of life. Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. You know why? No, that's just what Esau says, that you die and you just dissipate, and you just you're nothing after that. That's what the so-called white man says. He wants you to believe that there is no power or God. In fact, let me get that. Wisdom of Solomon, which is in the Apocrypha. The same so-called white man took that out of the Bible. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 verse 1. But it's a part of the King James Bible, the original King James Version. And he was our people. He was a so-called black man. For the ungodly said, and that they'll lie to you about that too. They did something called iconoclasm. They painted they basically so-called whitewashed those images. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. So the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. They was wrong. That's what the so-called white man wants you to believe. That life is short and that you die. Okay, who you're referring to is the spiritual demon Satan. A devil is a deceiver and a false accuser. That's the so-called white man. So you may have already had coffee with the devil, That's you may have already done it. What you're referring to is the spiritual demon Satan. And both Yahweh Shem Yahushai controls both good and evil, including both the angels and the spirit and demons, both good spirits and evil spirits. And I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna show you an example that proves that. Who will be a lying spirit? KJV. 1 Kings chapter 22 verses 21 to 23. Because these so-called Christians have taught a lot of lies, a lot of misinformation about the Bible. But the truth is being revealed. hey, the truth is being revealed. Like he's not just this big he's not even they make him out to be like Barney, and that's not him at all. 1 Kings chapter 22 verse 21. Actually, I'm gonna start at 20. And Yahweh, verse 19. And he said, "Hear therefore, thou therefore the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. I saw Yahweh Shem Yahushai sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left." Verse 20. And Yahweh Shem Yahushai said, "Who shall persuade Ahab the king that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead?" You tripping, dog. You tripping. No, there's a recent reports that show it was 3. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone live with the update. But anyways, verse 21, and there came forth the Spirit and stood before Yahweh Shem Yahushai and said, "I will persuade him." Verse 22, and Yahweh Shem Yahushai said unto him, "Wherewith?" And he said, "I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets." And he said, "Thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth and do so." Verse 23, now therefore, behold, Yahweh Shem Yahushai had put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these prophets, and Yahweh Shem Yahushai has spoken evil concerning thee. So both the left-hand side, which that's the wicked side, and the right-hand side, which is the righteous side, is controlled by Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Hey, these devils, these Edomites, they are in the trick bag because they think that they're doing something, but really they're being led to their own destruction. And when they make a move they make their move, they basically send out their martial law troops. They send out the stormtroopers, right? When that happens, the Most High Yahweh, he's gonna raise a standard, as I brought out. So, yeah, these devils are gonna make their move. They're gonna rock out, but that's their last hurrah. It's their last hurrah. But yeah, man, you're bugged out, man. Well, actually, you're not too far off, because in 2/3 of so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and their descendants, their descendants scattered throughout the nations. 2/3 of them, they are enemies to Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. And you are gonna die on this side. If you're 2/3, you're through. You're gonna die on this side. But if this, if you're the elect, if you're the 1/3, there is hope for you. If this message clicks with you, there is a chance that you're the elect, and you're actually gonna survive these. You're gonna survive these times. This is the truth. The truth is coming to light. Me and like-minded brothers were bringing out the truth. Man. Yeah, man, you bugged out. That's not good. That's not good. A split personality, it means that you have a demon. That's not good. You bugged out. You have to, you need to pray in the name of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, so that demon comes out of you. Yeah. Yeah, because after, man, let me address that point right there, because that's also addressed in Ecclesiastes. In Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and chapter 3. And it's been one bug out after another. Spewing shit. Spewing vomit on the comment board. You know, you could be, you sound like you're gainsaying, like, you don't sound like you right. You sound like a demon. Let me get that Ecclesiastes though. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9. The thing that had been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Verse 10. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It had already been of old time, which was before us. Verse 11. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come, with those that shall come after. Amen. That goes into you die, you go to sleep, right? When you go to sleep, do you not wake back up? So you die and you come back. You die and you come back and serve your judgment. According to verses 15 and 16, that which had been is now, and that which is to be had already been, and Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai require that which is past. Verse 16, the point. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and that the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. So, under the sun, that's the place of judgment. That is the place of judgment. And afflictions. Oh, also address your point right there about death too. No, just in case you're still watching, because these devils fuck with the views. Wherefore I praise the dead, which were already dead, more than the living which are alive. That's chapter 4. Yeah, better is he than both they which had not been, who had not seen the evil work that is done under the sun. Amen. Because verse 1 says, So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. And on the side of the oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. Hey, and what does it tell you in Job, where he talks about where and Job was catching hell. Job was catching hell. Job chapter 3, verse 11. Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out the belly? Verse 12. Why did the knees prevent me? Or why did the breast that I should suck? Verse 13. For now should I have been laid still and been quiet. I should have slept. Then I had been at rest. Verse 14. With kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves. Verse 15. Or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver. Verse 16. Or as a hidden untimely birth I had not been, as infant to which I never saw light. Verse 17. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. Verse 18. There the prisoners rest together, they hear not the voice of the oppressor. Verse 19. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Verse 20. Wherefore light is given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul. Verse 21. Which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid resources. Verse 22. Which rejoice exceedingly, and are glad when they can find the grave. So, hey man, it tells you in those verses that there the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. No, sleep, right? The wicked cease from troubling in the same place as the weary be at rest. There the prisoners rest together, they hear not the voice of the oppressor, which links up with that last verse that I read. And the servant is free from his master. So hey, the wicked are in the same place as the place that the weary be at rest. Meaning that hell fable, has been debunked. Because hey, Job would have said something about hell if it was really like that, if that's where you went. No, you go to sleep. Sleep is the cousin of death. Hey, Breonna Taylor right now, like she's at rest, and she's in her right mind. She was told her the truth and her judgment. She's in her right mind, she knows why that happened to her. Hey, and those cops, hey, they know that they're going into slavery. They're at rest too, but they know that they're going into slavery, if they're Edomites. If those cops were Edomites. Because, I haven't seen who they are, I don't. Which they could be Edomites, could be Jake cops, probably Edomite cops, because these racial tensions have been heightened. But also, hey, Job proves that Satan, he answers to the Most High. But as well as the verses I read earlier in 1 Kings. But also, let me get another verse that goes into this topic as well. the judgment comes after you die. So, if when you die you go to rest, when hey man, if you die you go rest, and then how you gonna get judged? After death comes the judgment. Let me get Esdras, because that goes into it more, it's more clear. Second Esdras chapter 14 verse 35. Even though Hebrews 9 verse 27 has been broken down, doesn't mean what people think it means. No, it's just a pattern. You die once, then you receive your judgment from the Father. You go before the judgment seat and you receive it. And you come back down because the place of judgment is under the sun. So you go back down and you live out your judgment. And hold up. Second Esdras, verse 14, 35. For after death shall the judgment come, when we shall live again, and then shall the names of the righteous be manifest, and the works of the ungodly shall be declared. And we are living in these days when the names of the righteous are manifest, and the works of the ungodly are declared. When that man of sin, that wicked, is being revealed, who is Esau Edom. He's revealed as Esau Edom. Second Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3. Hey man, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Verse 4, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. That's Esau Edom, the so-called white man. That falling away came. Our people fell away during the so-called Middle Ages or Dark Ages. We was the so-called black nobility, and then we fell away during that time period, and we fell into captivity. And that man of sin is being revealed as Esau Edom. And this is one of the ways he's being revealed. He's actually revealing himself. This is Esau Edom showing his hatred for you tribes. Which is Ezekiel chapter 35 verse 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword of their in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. They had a perpetual hatred. They've always hated us. Verse 6. Therefore, as I live, say the Lord power, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Even his own blood relatives are gonna pursue, like they're gonna pursue their own blood. They're gonna pursue these devils. Verse 7. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And also shows you who he is. Verse 8. And I will fill his mountains with the slain men, on thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. Verse 9. And I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy city shall not return, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Verse 10. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, whereas Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and we will possess it. Whereas Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai was there. These two countries, where we lived, the land of Israel, in the northern kingdom, land of the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, and these two nations, in northern and southern, we were split. The two nations, two kingdoms. The land the northern kingdom lived in when they came over to the Americas. Because the northern kingdom, which was called Arsaret in the Bible, because the northern kingdom, the book of Ezra, chapter 13, verses 40 all the way down to 45 and 46 tell you that the Americas will basically tell you about a land called Arsaret, the land never man dwelt, which is, it makes sense. They're the Native Americans because they were the first people to live in the Americas, and the descendants of the Latinos as well, the indigenous people of North, South, and Central America. That's the Northern Kingdom. And Esau, what did he say? Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas Yahweh Hashem Yahushai was there. So these two nations, southern and northern kingdom, these two countries, and also Israel and Judah, they will split into two houses. And talking about we will possess it, whereas Yahweh Hashem Yahushai was there, because that's his people. Verse 11. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, I will do according to mine anger, and according to thine envy which thou has used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. So there you go. And these devils are going to be judged for all that they do. All that they do. Yeah, man. Hey, the enemies. Hey, man. The so-called Jews, they're not the real Jews. They're Edomites. Also, thou son of man, this shows us, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Thus saith Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Lord power. Because the enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Verse 3. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, because they have made you desolate, and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and that ye are taken up in the lips of talkers, and our infamy of the people. Proverbs and bywords. Verse 4. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are around about. They hissed at our plagues, it's written. Verse 5. Therefore thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed, which is a Greek way of saying Edom, by the way, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their hearts, with the despiteful man to cast it out, to cast it out for a prey. Verse 6. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. They are the lowest of the heathen, the smallest of the heathen. They are the so-called white man and the so-called Jew. They are the true minorities. Verse 8. But ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches, and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. The true Israelites are going to get the land back. For behold, verse 9, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and ye shall be tilled and sown. Verse 10, and I will multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it, and the city shall be inhabited, and the waste shall be builded. Verse 11, and I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit, and I will settle you after your old estates, and I will do better unto you than at your beginnings, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Also, just like Jerusalem is a people before is a place, so is Israel. Verse 12. Yeah, I will cause men to walk upon you. So it's talking about both the people and the place. Even my people Israel, and they shall possess thee, and thou shalt be their inheritance, and thou shalt no more henceforth bereave them of men. Because right now, the land of Israel is languishing under these so-called Jews. They actually have to ship in soil to plant trees and all that. It's not doing good. Thus saith, verse 13, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, because they say unto you, thou land devourest of men, and hast bereaved thy nations. Verse 14, therefore thou shalt devour men no more, neither bereave thy nations any more, saith the Lord power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Verse 15, neither will I cause men to hear in thee the shame of the heathen any more. Neither shalt thou bear the reproach of the people any more. Neither shalt thou cause thy nations to fall any more, saith Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. The shame of the heathen. What do these Amalekites do over there? Because they're really Edomites of the tribe of Amalek. What do they do over there? They have homosexual sodomite pride parades over there. They practice oral circumcision over there. But you look into that, it's just complete filth. If you don't look that up if you don't have a strong stomach. That's my recommendation. If you're squeamish, if Don't look that up. Don't look that up. Spare yourself the trouble. And just take my word for it. They have it's an abomination. They have kosher pig over there. Oh, but they're the real Jews. They hey man, the Israelites that are actually over there, they oppress them. And they're not doing good over there. The Jakes, which are in Dimona, Israel. Jake just means Israelite. The Jakes that went to Dimona, Israel, they're not doing good. You know, it's like they're in the ghetto as well. They're not doing good over there. They're still catching the curses. Because we gotta be delivered. And these devils have to be taken out of power. A regime change is needed for the earth. Like I brought out in my last live. Yes, these so-called Jews, you know, as you can see, they're not the real people. They're Edomites. They're the same people. Hey, they're the Assyrian in our land. They're the same people that oppress our people. They're the modern day Assyrians. You know, spiritually, they're spiritually Babylonians, spiritually Egyptians, and spiritually Assyrians. That's why it says in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 25, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him underfoot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders. Verse 26, this is a purpose that is proposed upon the whole earth, and this is a hand that is stretched out upon the nations. Verse 27, for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, the Lord of hosts, has proposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? Nobody. That's a rhetorical question. And, you know, these devils, there's more, these Edomites, these so-called white people, you know, more verses that show that they are the wicked and that they're going down. Malachi chapter 1, you know, just the first few verses. The burden of the word of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to Israel by Malachi. Verse 2, I have loved you, saith Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, yet ye say, wherein thou hast loved us. You know, that's a Kareem. You know, if you still watching, he was saying God is the devil, right? He's not perfect. He put us on this earth to ultimately self-destruct. Basically, he is basically you're saying that he does, because you think that he doesn't love so-called black people, Latinos, and Native Americans. And that's not true. You know why? Verse, you know, because it goes on to say, was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, yet I loved Jacob. Verse 3, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Verse 4, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places, because during the so-called Dark Ages, the so-called Middle Ages, these devils were in poverty. They were the ones on the bottom, in the caves of the earth, in the clefts of the rock. You know, Job even speaks about them being in them caves. And they were driven forth from among men as a thief, because they are the thief. They are the thief that cometh not but to kill, steal, and destroy. That's how they took America. That's how they took our people down in Europe. That's how they that's how that's how they built up America. They stole the children of Judah, the so-called black people. They stole them and the Hamites. The Hamites kidnapped them and sold them to Esau. And sometimes Esau would launch raids and kidnap them with the Hamites. And also the so-called Arabs, the Ishmaelites. They are all involved in that confederacy headed up by the so-called white man. That conspiracy against our people. You know? So they did return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh Shem Yahushai had indignation forever. So the border of wickedness, so where they're at, wickedness starts. They are the wicked. You know? Yahweh Shem Yahushai took down the Roman Empire, used our people. You know, because our people, there was actually Caesars that were so-called black. That, you know, starting around Septimius Severus, he had a key role in taking down the Roman Empire. You know, he was a so-called black man, for example. And then there's many other examples, even Constantine. You know, so our people took down this devil, you know, took down Esau's Roman Empire and made it the Holy Roman Empire. That's why it was called that. Because Israelites were ruling over it. So-called black men. But hey, our people fell away, you know, and this devil came back and he built desolate places. You know. And that's not the first time our people have taken these devils down. You know, when King David and Solomon, especially David was king for 40 years of war. He was putting hell on these Edomites, and he was putting them in captivity and everything. He was putting pure hell on these Edomites. Because these Edomites, you know, they especially Amalek, they put hell on our people when we was coming into the land. They pursued us with the sword. You know, there's Esau and Jacob. It's always been about Esau and Jacob. The hero and the villain. And Jacob, the hero, Superman, Esau, the villain. And you know, and these Edomites, what they do, they came back, they took over Greece. Because the original Greeks, the Japhetic people of Greece, of Europe, they were so-called black people because Shem, Ham, and Japheth were brothers. And they were not described as being different from each other. So that was so-called black people. And then Esau came in there and infiltrated, you know, divided and conquered, took over, and then the original Greeks were looked at as savages. He took over and called himself the Greeks, just like he calls himself Europeans, just like he called himself Americans, he called himself Jews. Same thing he did there. Esau says he is the Egyptians. And that started with them too. The Ptolemies, you know, they were the Edomite pharaohs of Egypt. Yeah, because in the Bible, it go deep, I'm telling y'all. It go real deep. In the additions to Esther chapter 16, it actually tells you that Haman, you know, he was a Macedonian. And in the book of Esther, it tells you that that Haman was Agagite, and King Agag, he was the king of the Amalekites, the last king of the Amalekites, and he was put to death by Samuel, the prophet, because Saul didn't want to do it. And you know what he did? Hey, that's why he got fired from his position, and that's why these same devils came back. The Saul did not get rid of Amalek. It was all set up that way from the beginning, but Saul did not get rid of Amalek. But hey, an Agagite, Haman was an Agagite. He was also a Macedonian, and what he was trying to do is basically divide and conquer. He was trying to deprive, to basically infiltrate. He tried to infiltrate the Persian Empire and translate the kingdom of the Persians to the Macedonians. And one way to do it was to turn the Persians against the Jews, the actual Jews. That's what he was doing, and then the wrath of the Most High Yahweh would come upon the Persian Empire, and it would be translated to the Macedonians. Which that eventually happened, but then was not the time. But he was a Macedonian, and so was Alexander the freak. He was a Macedonian as well, son of Philip, the king of Macedonia. And hey, Maccabees tells you, and when he took power, evils multiplied. Because why? The wicked took power. When these other heathens took power, it's not described so harshly. That should tell you something. Let me find it actually. Evils multiplied. Yeah. In 1 Maccabees chapter 1, it talks about Alexander, the son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, basically Greece. Specifically talking about Cyprus. Cyprus, that area basically. Shittim has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. Note that. Verse 2, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. Verse 3, and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. Verse 4, so his heart was lifted up, what I'm saying, became proud, basically. Verse 4, and he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. Verse 5, and after those things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Verse 6, wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Verse 8. And Alexander, he wept because there's no more lands available to conquer, basically. Yeah, man. Esau, he was getting busy with that sword. Verse 8, and his servants bare rule everyone in his place. Verse 9, and after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them. Many years and evils were multiplied in the earth. There you go. Yeah, man. And then after it goes into Antiochus Epiphanes, he called he called himself Epiphanes, basically meaning he was saying he was a power on earth. He was a god on earth. That man, he was the proudest of them, man. He was the proudest of them. Like evils were multiplied on the earth. Why? Because the wicked were in charge. There's a precept too that when the vilest men, when the wicked are in charge. Let me get it. The vilest men walk on every side. Just to show y'all. Just to, precept upon precept, basically. Psalms 12, verse 8. Salakia. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. That's what you saw happening then, and that's what you see happening now, because this is the Greco-Roman Empire come back. The revived Roman Empire. That deadly wound was healed. That's why, it's just like Rome. That's why Washington, D.C. is built the way it is. And the state capitals are built the way they are. We have a Senate, right? Rome. We're called a so-called democracy and a republic. Greece and Rome. The law, the language of the law is basically Latin. They teach you that in law school. And you gotta be good at Latin and law to be successful in law school. Rome. This place screams Rome all over again. The eagle, Rome. The presidents, they're like the Caesars. And Trump, who he should remind you of? Nero. That's who he should remind you of. Proud. He's very proud. He blames the Israelites. He slanders the Israelites the most. That just like Nero did, because the Christians, Hamashiach, they was called Christians. First in Antioch, those were Israelites who believed in the Messiah. So he put hell on Israel. Him and the Flavian dynasty, which means blonde, I believe. I believe it means blonde. I heard it from that brother Bakar Ahmad. He brought that out. I thought they were Israelites. But hey, man, they're Edomites. Vespasian and Titus, they're Edomites. That's why they put so much hell on our people. And then Nero was putting hell on our people as well. That's Trump. I believe so. So hey, that's why the wicked walk on every side. That's why all these abominations, the LGBT, Q, XYZ madness, that is promoted heavily in this place because of that. These cops get away with murdering Israelites because of that. You know, they walk free after murdering the Israelite because of that. Because Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is an unjust judge. In fact, there's a precept that actually specifically mentions this. They hold themselves not guilty. Zechariah 11 verse 5. See, the Bible, many people think that the Bible is the so-called white man's book, and nothing could be further from the truth. It actually condemns the so-called white man in every way possible. Describes even his appearance, the appearance of the natural-looking Edomite, as basically it's leprosy when you look into it. It's actual leprosy. It's a curse, and it's a curse. It's the curse of Cain. It's the mark of Cain. Because Cain, before that, he's the brother of Abel. He's a melanated man. But then after, it makes sense. Took his melanin from him. He stood out. So that people would know who he was. The mark of Cain. There you go. But let me get it. Zechariah 5. My bad. Hold on. Zechariah 5 goes into something else. Those so-called UFOs, which, they're identified in the Bible, so they're IFOs. Those are the chariots. That's the curse that fly into the house of a thief. And I already told y'all who the thief is. Should be clear. Verse 4. Thus saith, I'm going to start there. You see why. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, my power, flee the flock of the slaughter. That's what I'm doing right now. Whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that seldom say, Blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. So, whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. Does that sound familiar to you? It should. This has been a familiar story. These devils shoot you down in the streets, shoot you in your own crib, shoot you in wherever, put you to death in other ways, choke you out like Eric Garner, put a knee on your neck like George Floyd, do all that. This is not new. They have been putting you Israelites, you so-called blacks, you Latinos, y'all getting killed by the cops out here too. And you so-called Native Americans. Yeah, Latinos getting murdered by the cops as well. Unjustly, and getting off with it. But the media will not cover it as much, because that's that divide and conquer. They don't want the black and brown. They don't want so-called black and brown. Like how Tupac put it, which he was a total agent and a demon, That's a whole other story in itself. But how he put it in one of his songs, Black Love, Brown Pride, in the sets again. Before he said it wouldn't be LA without Mexicans, He knew the truth. He knew who the Israelites were. He knew that you so-called blacks and so-called Latinos, y'all are the same people. Y'all are brothers and sisters. You could see it, in the way the condition of both so-called blacks and Latinos is in this country and around the world. You could see it, The people who rule these so-called Latino countries are not the same people that live in them. They are Spanish. They are Spanish rape babies. They a lot. Hey, there's a lot of so-called. Some of these countries, so-called Jews actually rule. So the actual Latinos, the descendants of those indigenous people, they don't rule those lands. And they do divide and conquer on them too, because what they do, they continue that old Spanish caste system. What they do, is they'll show a light-skinned so-called Latino in them telenovelas, working those jobs, basically they're in the house. And then they'll show when you go to a so-called Latino country, what do you see? Mostly darker skinned people living in the poverty, working everyday jobs, struggling in the barrios, which is it's the hood with a different name. That's what you see over there. The same issues, gangs, bank, Jake down there killing each other as well. Eyes evil towards their brother. The so-called Latino woman. What do they say? She's known to be basically loud, loud, and she's very similar to the so-called black woman. I should know. I mean, my mom is a Northern Kingdom woman, and the way she acts is very similar to a so-called black woman. So I should know. See, Israel, that's how you tell. That's how you can tell, who's the tribes. Not by skin color or skin shade, but by outward appearance, but by who's catching these curses, who's spirit bearer witness. Hey, Latinos, they be all up in them church houses, just like so-called black people. They be in there as well, with that zeal, thinking that they're, but not according to knowledge, thinking that they know Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, praising them with his lips. But what do they do when they get out? Because they draw near, our people draw near to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai with their lips, but their hearts, their lab, their mind is far from them. What do they do when they get out? They keep doing the same. They keep going off, They go off, they commit adultery, they sell drugs to their own people. They do witchcraft. They selling drugs. That's pharmakia. That's witchcraft. That's sorcery right there. They eat all manners of abominations, which so-called Christian church tells you that it's all right to eat that, but it's not. The dietary laws was there for our own good, because those foods are unhealthy. Those so-called foods, shellfish, pork. Pork is, it should be known by now that it's unhealthy. Studies have come out and shown that. Parasites, pork, a pig will eat anything. A pig is like, the land version of a vulture, basically. A pig will eat a dead body of a human. And then you eat the pig. Would you eat a vulture? No. So why would you eat a pig? There you go. And why would you eat shellfish, shrimp, crab, lobster? Octopus, all that, Why would you eat that? They're what you call bottom feeders, catfish. They're the cleanup crew for the ocean. They actually keep the ocean clean. But, that's another problem. when you take these animals off the earth, when you take them out of the water, that contributes to pollution. Because they clean the earth of all the shit, all the trash, all the filth. They clean it, and then you eat that. You eat that. It's like eating a roach. You look at a lobster, right? Looks just like a roach, except the sea version. A shrimp, the same thing. But you follow what Esau, the so-called white man, tells you, and what these pastors tell you to do. And that's why Yahweh Shem Yahushai, he judges you using the same so-called white man as the sword. That's why you Jakes keep getting shot down in the streets. That's why we're catching the curses, catching hell as a people. That's why, right there. Because our people, we went off, and we continue to go off. We broke that covenant. We broke, which, think of it as a contract. You break a contract, there's consequences for that. You break a law, there's consequences for that. It was a law and it was a contract that we had with Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and we broke it. So guess what? In that contract there was consequences, and we received those consequences. Hey, but let these pastors tell it. Oh, the Old Testament, the laws are done away with. Let them tell it. Let them tell it. You could eat shit off the ground if you pray for it. It'll be just fine. That's why Jeremiah 23 verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pastors, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That's right. The Lord, whom the world ignorantly knows as God, and his Son, who the world ignorantly knows as Jesus Christ. Which his Son, Yahushai is his real name. He is like-minded. He has the same mind as his Father. They are like-minded. They do not come against each other. He came to do the will of his Father. But, hey, that's right. The pastors, these so-called pastors, Pastor Pork Chop with bacon breath, Bishop Bacon, with bacon breath as well, with bacon all over it, bacon grease all over his stubble, because he ate that before he came to Sunday service, before he started Sunday service. They're condemned in the Bible. He says, woe unto them. Verse 2, therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Lord power of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock, and have driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So Yahweh Shem Yahushai is going to visit upon them the evil of their doings. They are going to be judged for doing this. Hey, the congregation, when they find out that they've been getting misled, they're actually going to put these pastors to death. These pastors are going to have to be on the run. No lie. Yeah, man. And it actually is prophesied in the book of Zechariah, chapter 13. Yeah. Verse 3, and it shall come to pass when any shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies. Even their own family is going to put him to death. For thou speakest lies in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and his father and mother that begat him shall thrust him through when he prophesied, his own father and mother. Verse 4, and it shall come to pass that in that day that the prophets shall be ashamed, every one of his vision. I have a dream, MLK, one example of that. In fact, he specifically mentioned, not by name, but, you could tell, use context clues. There's a precept that goes into that. And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophets shall be ashamed every one of his vision when he hath prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. Verse 5, but he shall say, I am no prophet, I am a husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. So I ain't no prophet, I'm a husbandman. They're going to be like, they're going to be ashamed of that vision. They're going to be ashamed in that vision. Of that vision. With deception. Hey, and let me go into, and that same chapter goes into the 2/3 of Israel being cut off. In verse 8, they're the 2/3, these pastors. And it shall come to pass that in all lands, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. Why? Because verse 7, awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And that sword is Esau Edom, the so-called white man, as proven by, as shown by let me look it up. The wicked is thy sword, yeah. That's Psalm 17, verse 13. Psalm 17, verse 13. Arise, O Yahweh Shem Yahushai, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Verse 14 shows you exactly who it is. From men which are thy hand, O Yahweh Shem Yahushai, for men of the world which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure, fatness of the earth, right? They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babies. Hey, that's so-called white privilege right there. Really Edomite privilege. That's why they get off. They continue to get off. Hey, they are not plagued as other men. They are not plagued as other men. And that's Psalms chapter 73, verse 5. They are not, oh yeah. Let me start at verse 3. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. Verse 5. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Verse 6. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment. Verse 7. Their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than heart could wish. Verse 8. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. I had a demon on here earlier that was talking about, the cops shoot thugs. Because that's what they like to call our people. That's another byword. They might as well just say the N-word with the hard R, because they're saying the same thing. They might as well say those original bywords that they have for our people, because this is the same thing that they're saying. They speak corrupt, wickedly concerning oppression. They always justify their murdering our people. Always. They speak loftily, we have high IQ. That's what they say. We're superior. We have high IQ. That's why y'all live in the hood and we live in the burbs and we have all this nice shit. That's what they say. They claim it's because they're superior. When they have lie IQ. That IQ system is flawed. Yeah, man, they rig the shit, they rig the shit and make themselves look like the most intelligent people. Or was it? Yeah. Verse 9. Kingdom is, Shalom, Akia. Yahweh Shimi al Shai Baraka. I ain't seen you in a while. Kingdom is nigh. Khan. The end of Esau Edom is nigh. Verse 9. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh throughout the earth. That's these devils. They set their mouth against the heavens. Against the Most High, against Yahweh. They speak proudly. They say that he's a so-called white man. They say that his son is a so-called white man. His people are so-called white. The angels are so-called white. And then also, these same people say that the Most High don't exist. These same people. And their tongue walketh throughout the earth, spreading deceits. Verse 10. Therefore his people return hither. Yeah, Revelation proves that he's not a so-called white man. That's why Revelation was removed from the slave Bible. Therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. Verse 11. And they say, how doth Yahweh know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Verse 12, because they see no knowledge, they see no value in the Most High, in being righteous. Verse 12, behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world, they increase in riches. Verse 13, then this is us, Yasharallah. Verily I have cleansed my heart in vain and washed my hands in innocency. Yasharala of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the elect, which we hope to be a part of. Verse 14, for all the day long have I been plagued and chastened every morning. David was catching hell. And we are the house of David, the elect, hopeful elect, house of David. Verse 15, if I say I will speak thus, behold, I will offend against this generation of thy children. Verse 16, when I thought to know this, it was too painful for me. Verse 17, until I went into the sanctuary of Yahweh, then I understand their end. Then he got it. Verse 18, surely thou didst set them in slippery places. Thou castest down into destruction. They're falling fast and hard. Satan come down from heaven as lightning. Verse 19, how are they brought into desolation as in a moment? They are utterly consumed with terrors. In a moment. Babylon going to be destroyed in an hour. Verse 20, as a dream when one awakens, so, O Yahweh, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image, Hey, because, he was like, why are the wicked, why are they doing so good, And he saw how the wicked, are prospering in these days. Because David was a prophet. That's a cut to Vocab Malone and them. Vocab Malone and the Through Crew, which claimed that King David was not a prophet. That's a cut. Thus my heart was grieved and I was pricked in my reins, because he saw this. So foolish was I and ignorant. Verse 22, I was as beast before thee, because compared to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, his thoughts are higher than ours. His ways are not our ways, they're higher than ours. So we are as beasts before him. Verse 23, nevertheless am I continually with thee. Thou hast holden me by my right hand. Verse 24, thou shalt guide me with thy counsel, and afterward receive me to glory. So, amen. All we got is we trust in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to destroy these devils. And to, during Jacob's trouble, he's gonna deliver us from the man that had the power to kill. And let me bring up that precept that brother had, Eric who knows, about Revelation chapter 1 verses 13 to 15. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. Verse 14, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, because he drunk. Shalom Aqua Keiko Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakatah. I had to go live on this update on the Breonna Taylor protests. Also, had to show another example of an Israelite foreigner. Verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. There was a scoffer on here who was saying, who of course called him Jesus, in which, that's an insult. What the name goes back to. And saying that he is a Middle Eastern Jew. Basically saying he's a so-called Jew. And Middle Eastern is not a race, people. You know, these know nothing devils, these everyday Edomites, they don't know shit either. They don't know shit. You could, this man's, that I believe he was a very young man. He was like a child. He was around 12, I believe. He had a name called Team Xbox, man. The way he talked, like a child. I believe that he might be that dude that calls oh yeah, that's someone else. That's TD Chocolate Shakes. He stayed chocolate shakes. That too. Thinks Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai are sweet and calls them Jesus. Hey, but this devil, man, he might be one of those 12-year-old kids that call you the N-word on Xbox Live. That was a meme way back, because that's what these little devils do. They hide behind a screen and talk shit. They're the trolls. Esau Edom is the original troll, and that's what that shows. He's a troll by nature. Oh, yeah, Khan. Hey, TD chocolate shakes, chocolate cakes, man. He won't go into this either, man. What did he have to say about Revelation chapter 1 verses 13 to 15? Not a damn thing. Just he calls himself don't he call him a motivational speaker? Well, go and be that and stop calling yourself a reverend. He's a false prophet. He's spoken about in Zechariah chapter 13. That's an example of one. I was going into false prophets earlier. He's an example of that in Jeremiah chapter 23. Hey, man. Verse 3, and it shall come to pass that when any shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, Thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And he doesn't even use the name. And his father and his mother that begat him shall thrust him through when he prophesied. So that's the judgment to these wicked ass false prophets. These wicked ass niggas and nigga women that mislead our people. Verse 4, and it shall come to pass in that day that the prophet shall be ashamed every one of his vision when he has prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. Verse 5, but he shall say, I am no prophet. They shall be ashamed of every one of his vision. But he shall say, I am no prophet. I am a husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. So, a husbandman, not a prophet. Or, as in T.D. Jake's case, a motivational speaker, not a prophet. Well, go and be that then. But he won't. The business is too lucrative. He does it for filthy lucre's sake. Their own congregation, even their own families, like was brought out here. They're gonna put their hands on them because of the deception that they preach. Yeah, man. In verse 6, and one shall say unto them, what are those wounds in thy hands? And he shall answer, those which I was wounded in the house of my friends. And these prophets are they got something coming to them. And there's also another one, filthy lucre's sake. No, I'm not really sure what verse 6 go into. It may go into that. It may go into something else because of the wording in that chapter, But, the other verses before it talks about these false prophets. So that's the point. Yeah, let me bring out that precept about filthy lucre. That's why they teach. The so-called churches are nothing but a business. They're a business that calls themselves a non-profit, yet they make so much profit. They sign these 501c3 charters, because they have a covenant with death. But their covenant with death shall not stand. These Jake pastors, they're gonna taste of Jacob's trouble as well. TD Jakes, you have all that money, but that's not gonna profit you in the day of wrath. Looking for that, for the book of Titus, bring that out. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, Titus chapter 1, verse 11. Whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake. That's what they do. You see them teaching, give me money. Give me money. Plant a seed, what they call it, and you will get blessings. These prosperity preachers, and where are you at? In the hood, in the ghetto, in the barrio, and where are they at? In mansions, driving Benzes, wearing $1 million suits. So that should tell you right there why they're really in this. And even in Yasharala, like that know the truth, you have them as well. Like for example, at the IUIC, I'm just gonna say it, man. IUIC, that so-called Bishop Nate Satan, we like to call him, because he misleads his flock. He teaches them that the mark of the beast is not the RFID chip, leading them to the slaughter, because they're going to be justified in their heads when they take the chip. Actually, one of the brothers, that I hold camp with, he used to be in IUIC. And he said that it's like that. It's like a so-called Christian church, but they wear garments instead. I could see that, You could tell with IUIC that they are. It's just like Christianity. But with the Israelite disguise, with Israelite rapping. That's all it is, because, what did he do? He fly to these different places to preach on the plane. Where do you think he gets that money from? And, from donations, from tithes, from selling making merchandise, out of man, like making merchandise, selling, he'll sell, you'll have to pay IUIC, to break down the script. This is what I heard. You have to pay them, so that's how they make that moolah. It's a hustle, and he's able to fly to the different parts of the world to preach. When the word got around, the elders and apostles of GMS, you don't see them flying around the world, even around the country. You don't see them flying from place to place, to preach, that the name of the Lord don't matter, one of the things he preaches, and that the chip is not the mark of the beast, despite, all evidence pointing to the fact that it is the mark of the beast. He tells you, oh, you don't have to go into the Greek, you don't have to do it. But the New Testament was originally written in what? The Greek. So, to understand the original, what John the Revelator originally meant, you gotta go into the Greek. It makes sense, but basically, it's for Israelites that are still stuck in the milk. They're still stuck on the milk. It got to be real, calling Yahushai Christ. That's a Greek title. Calling the Most High, his name is Yahweh, just calling him the Most High. That's his title, not his name. But they're still stuck on that milk. Hey, they're ever learning but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Because they're stuck on that milk. And that's Hebrews chapter 5 verse 13. It talks about them being still on the milk. For everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. Verse 14, but strong meat, Slakia, belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. And they have that discernment, basically. Hey, and you see the GMS and like-minded Hakim, like men of valor, they go into everything, not just the milk. They definitely bring out the name. You gotta bring out the name. The RFID chip, the mark of the beast. To be honest, that is the milk. The RFID chip is the mark of the beast. To be honest, that should be, that is the milk. That is the milk. That's basic knowledge. You do need that knowledge to be saved. Knowledge of what the RFID chip is. That it's the mark of the beast. You do need it. So, yeah, he's leading his congregation astray into the slaughter. He need to repent, but he probably ain't gonna. Because, that man is proud. That he's been rebuked many times. when he refuses to repent. He actually clowns on the elders of GMS. Con. Yeah, he actually clowns on the elders of GMS. So, he's a scoffer. There you go. He's a scoffer. Also talking about, no Jacob's trouble. No Jacob's trouble, and Jacob's trouble are the nukes. Not according to scripture. This is an example of Jacob's trouble. What's happening? Those riots. And Esau deploying the National Guard. That's an example of Jacob's trouble right there. Hey man, he's a scoffer for real if you think about it. For there shall come in the last days scoffers. He's a scoffer for real. Because what do the scoffers say? What do they say? They say, I'm going to go into it. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts. Verse 4, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. Putting off the evil day. But that's what they do too. They put off the evil day. They're not concerned for the affliction of Joseph. This, of course, the false prophets that are Judah. The same for them. Hey, Micah chapter 5, Micah chapter 3. Hey, man, Micah chapter 3. It goes in on y'all as well, on you false prophets and false leaders of our people. Let me get to the point. Let me get to the point. Verse 5, thus saith Yahweh Hashem Yahushai concerning the prophets that make my people err, that bite with their teeth and cry, peace. And he that put it not into their mouth, they even prepare war against him. Therefore, verse 6, night shall be unto you, that ye shall not have a vision, and it shall be dark unto you, that ye shall not divine, and the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. Verse 7, then shall the seers be ashamed, and the diviners confounded, and they shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer of Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahushai. But truly, I am full of power by the Spirit of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, and of judgment to declare unto Jacob his transgressions and to Israel his sins, And these false prophets, they won't, man. They trim the waist to seek love, so that more people show up so that more people are a part of their congregation and give tithes. Hey man, hey man. Hear this, I pray you. Verse 9. O ye heads of the house of Jacob, and princes of the house of Israel, that abhor judgment and pervert all equity. Verse 10. They build up Zion with blood and Jerusalem with iniquity. Verse 11. The heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets thereof divine for money. Yet will they lean upon Yahweh Shem Yahweh and say, is not Yahweh Shem Yahweh among us? None evil can come among us, That's going into them as well. They're going to be judged for misleading our people. Oh, there's no Jacob's trouble. Man, get out of here. This is an example of Jacob's trouble right here. What is this? Sedition among men. Which is going to lead to what? Esau coming down with great wrath. That great multitude, their wrath is being kindled on us, against us. This is leading to that. But the blind, they're leaders of the blind. The blind shall lead the blind, and both shall fall into a ditch. Or that snare that Esau has left for our people. Hey, 2nd Ezra verse 5, chapter 15 goes into Jacob's trouble. For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. This is trouble. This is trouble. But I thought there was no Jacob's trouble, though. And that's come out IUIC, and y'all claim to believe in the Apocrypha. But, of course, blind leaders of the blind, y'all can't see it. And neither can your congregation. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. That's what's going to come from this. And from the Rona madness as well. The cities are going to be... verse 18. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. You hear that? You hear that, naysayers? Hear that? For example, Nate. Those who follow after him. The cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed. And the men shall be afraid. You hear that, you prophets that say peace, peace unto our people when there is no peace? You hear that? You hear that? Those who follow them? You hear that? All you got to do is turn on the news. You hear that? Come on. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. They shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. That sounds like Jacob's trouble to me, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound like it to y'all? And for great tribulation. I thought there was no tribulation coming. Yeah, man. And chapter 16 goes into it more in depth. It goes into it more in depth. Verse 9, verse 18, verse 17, really. Woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? That's coming from Esdras. he saw what was going on, and he was like, woe is me, you know, who would deliver me in those days? He was shook. Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, even them. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? That's what he say, man. Because it's gonna be bad, He saw this vision, like, damn, it's gonna be bad, you know. Verse 19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So they're sent for y'all to get right. Hold up. Shalom, shalom. I had to go take care of some shit. Now, now I'm back where I was. Talking about. I was talking about the false prophets among our people, and then I was talking about. I was going into how Jacob's trouble, it's really here. Yeah, my beard is weird, is wet. I got affliction I have to deal with. It's in my mouth. Oh man, and yeah, in Second Ezra's chapter, those verses in chapter 16, they line up. They line up with what Yahushua said, because verse 7. Verse 7 goes in. Well, verse 6 really is in, but this is where where we was at before. And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Then, verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. And what does it say in verse 8? All these are beginning of sorrows. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Hey man, just the beginning of it. And what does it say in Ezra's, talk about the beginning of sorrows, right? And great mournings. Same event being spoken of, Jacob's trouble. Which this is the beginning of it. Verse 9, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Then the persecution comes, because they're going to come in like a flood. You saw Edom is about to come in like a flood. And it's getting closer. There's a flash. It's going to come in fast. It's a flash flood, especially to they're not paying attention. Flash flood watch. No, it's been a flood watch. Now it's a flood warning. A flood warning. It's coming down fast too. So flash flood warning. Get to higher ground. Get back to the Most High. Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Get to that strong tower. The flood is coming. And shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Verse 10, then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. This is coming, man. And many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. Verse 11. And verse 12, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. There's a cold spirit out here. Verse 13, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So, endure unto the end. Endure unto the end. This to try the elect. To destroy the 2/3, but try the elect. Verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached unto all the world, for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come, because we are scattered among all these nations. Not just scattered, not just acting like them, not just talking like them, believing like them, but looking like them as well. And this gospel, the gospel of the kingdom, has been preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. You see that brothers everywhere. Of course, all over Babylon, in most northern kingdom countries, well, most Northern Kingdom tribes in a lot of Northern Kingdom countries, most Northern Kingdom tribes, there's a prophet preaching among them. And in Italy, in France, Italy, the latest example, there was a Sicilian brother breaking down the names, what telling you sons of Jacob, feel, Jacob or something like that, or D Jacob, to wake up, come back to this truth. Yeah, man, I basically come back into the fold. We have a brother in England, and you have brothers in the UK, of course, in Ireland, in Scotland, in the Netherlands. We've been had brothers there. You have brothers in Germany, out there. Which I believe it's more than one too, if I'm not mistaken. There, so you have a camp out there, and may have camps in these other areas as well. I did hear about a brother that was in Russia. It was an Israelite foreigner brother way back, and one in Japan, one in the Philippines broke down the name. Thailand, there's a Akia in Thailand. There's it's a lot of Jake that were scattered in that area. Most people don't know. A lot of Issachar scattered in the Philippines, And even that area, Cambodia, Thailand as well, all that area. A lot of Jake. Judah and the Northern Kingdom. And you have, of course, Akia out in Australia. It's been out there for a little while. So you have brothers in different areas. In Africa, you have brothers out there, both in the area where Jake is and in the land of Ham. In East and South Africa, as well as Nigeria, as well as Central Africa. You have brothers out there. See, to the gospel of the kingdom is being preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And it says what? After that, and then shall the end come, because the elect is being gathered back up from the four corners of the earth. And then shall the end come, Then they're going to come like a flood. Because them doors of mercy are closed. The doors of the spiritual ark of mercy are closed. And you're left out there with the flood. The salvation. The doors of mercy, when you can be saved, are closed. And it's like, it's like that time again, also like the days of Noah. Because it's like the days of Noah, verse 37. But as the day, verse 36, but at that day, an hour know no man, but only the angels of heaven. No, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only, not even the hour sign knows. But you could tell by the signs that it's close. Verse 37, but as the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Verse 38, for as in the days were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Until that day, and that day, that flood of fire is coming soon, that second death is coming soon, Esau, Edom, he gonna come down like a flood. He gonna come in like a flood, just like that. Verse 30, overpowering fast, overpowering, and if you don't have Yahweh Shem Yahushua on your side, you're not in that spiritual ark, in that strong tower, you're going to be swept away and drowned. And in verse 39, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be the same way. The same way. The same way. Verse 40, then shall two be in the field, and one shall be taken and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, and one shall be taken and the other left. That's 41. That's why we're supposed to watch. Verse 42, watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord will come. You don't know the time. So you're always supposed to be on your P's and Q's. Hey, I went to sleep after that live last night, into the early morning. And, already there was riots in Louisville, and then not too long after these cops get shot, already riots, man, already shit popping off right when I wake up. It's coming soon. Yahweh Shem Yahushua shortening the days for the elect's sake. Speeding up the time for us. Also, he's going to intervene before this devil can actually kill us. Before he can murder us completely. Before he can completely accomplish his agenda. He's like speeding up the time as well. You can feel it. Verse 43, but know this, that if the good man of the house had known and would watch, the thief would come, he would watch, and he would not suffer his house to be broken into, because the day is coming like a thief in the night. Because day of the night be drunk in the night. What people do, they be drunk in the night. People are known for that, being drunk in the night and being asleep in the night. Be sober, but you gotta be sober, not into these not be sipping that Babylonian wine, and also don't be literally drunk all the time. And also watch, be woke. Watch. Be woke to the prophecies. Verse 44, therefore be also ready, in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. So when you don't think it's going to happen, that's when it's going to happen. When Jacob's trouble going to hit right when you think that you in good case. Right when you think that you in good case, boom, Jacob's trouble. That's how it's going to happen. That's how it's going to happen. Verse 15, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. And nowadays version of that is what? Is what? The RFID chip. They want to inject that into your body, your temple, the third temple. They want to make the third temple desolate as well. But they are not going to get to his elect. These men coming down with great wrath. That's why we're going to have to flee into the mountains again, be as pilgrims and all that. Not be able, not come back, take anything, And then not be able to do that. You may have to just go. Go follow, let Yahweh Shem Yahushua be your guide. Because verse 20, and pray that your flight not be in the winter. What's coming up, the winter. Neither on the Sabbath day. That's verse 20. Verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of this world to this time, nor ever shall be. It's gonna be so. It's gonna get real out here. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna get real out here. The Bible tells you it's gonna get real out here. And then Yahushua himself telling you it's gonna get real out here. Verse 22. And except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. but for the elect days, those days shall be shortened, so just be ready. Just be on your P's and Q's, Perseverance to end. It's going to get rocky out here. It's going to get hot, rough out here, We're going into those, we're entering into those times, but persevere. Persevere. Stay strong. Endure to the end. That enduring branch. Be that enduring branch, like the elder, your calls page, GMS enduring branch. Be that enduring branch. Be push on. Be the enduring branch and push on. Like Apostle Call page, man. That's the direction for y'all. Push on. Be that enduring branch. Also that. Those who have a real love for this truth, Ahabama, my name even, will be that enduring branch that will endure to the end. Will keep pushing on like that channel. Will keep pushing on, and that apostle, that's an example of that, because he kept push. He's still in the truth, been in the truth for so long, and still in the truth. Apostle cause channel, Apostle call. Hey, that's the spirit you're supposed to be in. Keep pushing on. Because, the reward is great. Verse 10, we're going to be first to see this. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. If here's the patience, faith of the saints, and also 14 verse 12, he is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahweh Shai. Don't take that chip, or you'll drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, in the presence of the Lamb and in the presence of the holy angels. Which some of those, that's the elect. The angels that was bound in chains of darkness, these bodies that fell from the first estate, as well as the literal celestial angels. And it's going to be a long time of death by pain, smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, eons and eons. And they have no rest day or night. Just terrible. It's a horrible way to go out. Who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever received the mark of his name. So it's real important to persevere. The patience and faith of the saints. It's real important to to stay patient. Because if you lose patience, what do you do when Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai shall visit you? What are you going to do? You're going to be through. You're going to be beaten with many stripes. So stay with it. Stay patient. Persevere. So Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai can deliver you because you still believe. And you're not going to take that chip. So I hope this live was edifying. I want to give all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners who look like the other nations, but their spirit beareth witness that they're the children of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom to the real sisters out there. Shalom, shalom, debt to America. Shout out to all y'all. Add debt to America, can't come soon enough. Destruction to America can't come soon enough. Mawat laba ball, Baba Kashai, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. It can't come soon enough. It can't come soon enough. And it is coming soon. It is coming soon. And even sooner than what we believe, our salvation is coming soon. So look up in the sky, man. Superman coming to save the damn day. That's Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai coming to save save us from that damnation. You know, look up for your redemption is nigh. You know, keep pushing. Look up and keep pushing. Keep your head up and keep pushing. Be that enduring branch. Keep that hope up that you are the elect. Keep your hopes up and your head up, like I've been saying. That you are the elect. Strive to make your election and calling sure. Because we got next. This devil, he's the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of the next thereof. That's 2 Ezra 6 verse 9, and the end is almost here. We almost at the end of the road. We almost at the end of the road to the kingdom. When Jacob's trouble is just the bumpy part of it. We almost at the end of the road. We're almost at the end of the marathon. Think of it. There's obstacle courses, and Jacob's trouble got the most obstacles. But you get through them obstacles, and there's a great reward. The kingdom, the New Jerusalem, kingdom coming back. Giving back to Israel. But much better than Solomon's kingdom. Much better than the days of Solomon. The days of Yahushua ruling is gonna be much better, much more glorious. Solomon was just a taste of that, but we're gonna have all of it. Not just we're gonna have the whole, not just a taste, not just a sample, but the whole meal. That kingdom. Just wait for it. Keep your head up. Keep, don't lose patience. Don't lose heart. Don't lose hope. We almost out of here. We almost at our destination. The GPS, that's like, the signs, just like the GPS. They're telling us, we are this X amount of miles, except, we base it upon the signs. More, and you see in 2020 more events popping off, more prophecies being fulfilled, are on their way to being fulfilled. You see 2020 has been real busy. It ain't been no joke. It's been hot and on fire. And so we supposed to, be even more on fire for this truth. And you sisters, you could do it. You gotta do it by being there for, waiting on man and Lord, being there for your man, being there, just doing being a righteous woman of you. How about Shem Yahushai? You don't gotta preach. The preaching is the testifying. That's for us men. Y'all actually have it easy. We have to do the preaching, the teaching, going out on the highways and byways. That's us. That's us. Y'all just stay in order. All of us gotta, persevere, stay in the spirit. 144, hopeful 144. That's just like the elder at Tazawan's channel, man. Stay in the spirit. You hopeful 144K, and you hopeful elect 1/3 men, women, and children. Stay with it. When the going get tough, the tough stay with it. When shit gets real, the real stay with it. So that's gonna prove who really about this truth and who's not. It's gonna separate the man from the boys, men from the boys, the women from the girls. Who's with it and who's not. We're about to find out. Alright, shalom. Until next time. So next time, or whether it be in a chariot or live on here, or we see each other, shalom.